For me, the area that I grew the most in was definitely related to global and intercultural perspectives. This is because I grew up in a smaller town and I didn't have the opportunities to have those complex conversations with people about culture, about global happenings. And so through Ross, I've definitely been able to grow that area. First, I had the opportunity to study abroad twice actually. First in France and then a second time in Ireland. When I was in France, I was able to live with a host family, which allowed me to learn a lot about breaking down stereotypes and just the deep appreciation that the French have for family, friends, and cooking. And through conversations with my host family, and then later on in Ireland with my roommates that I had that were from Russia, from France, and Italy, it was definitely a strong experience that allowed me to learn more about cultures outside my own and also about the differences in cultures and how when you're coming to the table, it's really important to understand those cultures and while you're learning about them to be really open-minded and listening. One of my roommates who was from Russia, unlike my roommates that were from the rest of Europe, was from a more collectivist culture. And so it was definitely interesting to see someone who really found harmony within groups really important. He was instantly wanting to share his food and culture. He was really willing to help. He was super open. He was and really easy to befriend. And then the juxtaposition of some of my roommates who were from France and Italy, who were maybe a little closed off to start. Um, and then when I was abroad, I think that's really when I had my zenith moment. When I was in Barcelona, I was staying at a hostel and I befriended some people from Germany and England. And that night, after we had spent some time together, we ended up having a political conversation. And it was definitely really interesting to hear that conversation in person and not from the news or not from articles or not from like listening in class, but to hear like real everyday people's experiences, both in their own country and with the US. And from that experience, I think I was able to learn a lot. And also, I think on both ends, you were able to break down maybe some of the stereotypes or misinformation that you hear whenever people just generalize things online. So I think, at least for me, it was like, I'm actually here, I'm in Europe, and I'm actually taking the time to really learn about about other people's cultures, and just sitting and listening was so impactful. And then next year, I'm so excited because I'm going to Deloitte for audit, and they do a lot of work across the globe working with different teams for multinational companies, but also they have a branch in India that does a lot of helping out with like some of the small tasks. So being able to use the knowledge that I have about building connections and fostering inclusion in teams with the global and intercultural perspectives. ILP, I think that it will be a really cool chance for me to put that into action within the teams that I'm working with, but also to continue to learn and grow my knowledge about different teams.